Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, giving you commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Before I get started, I want to thank all the viewers. I want to thank all the subscribers. Thank you all. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can be notified on all things from the Danny Show. And I hope you all had a wonderful Father's Day yesterday. With that being said, let's get started with today's review of Hell in a Cell from last night. I said earlier in my previous video from SmackDown review that I was hoping that by some chance that they would allow The Undertaker to narrate WWE's Hell in a Cell 2021, just like Batista did Backlash and John Cena did Night of Champions last year. However, this year's opening to Hell in a Cell was still awesome. It's something about those eerie pay-per-view intros. You have your Hell in a Cell intros, all were pretty awesome. And you also have the Judgment Day openings, the Armageddon openings. Who will ever forget the Unforgiven 2000 pay-per-view intro? That was one of the eeriest ones of all. But either way, moving on, WWE has made a habit on their Hell in a Cell pay-per-views, a good habit might I add, of starting the night and ending the night with a Hell in a Cell match. And if it just so happens that there are 3 Hell in a Cell matches, like it was last year, 2016, and of course the first pay-per-view in 2009, they'll open up the show with a Hell in a Cell match. They'll have a Hell in a Cell in the middle of the show, and then they'll have one at the end, which is awesome. However, we only got to see 2 Hell in a Cell matches this year, and they started and ended the night. And the first one was good. And I will say this before I get started with all the match reviews. I don't know about you guys, but this year's Hell in a Cell, all of the matches on the main card were absolutely epic, in my opinion. Some of the endings may not have been what we wanted, but every last match on the card was epic. It was almost comparing to NXT, and that's what you want to do. So we started off the match with a Hell in a Cell match between Bayley and Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and that was a great match to watch. I was hoping to see Bianca Belair use her ponytail as a weapon. Instead, for the most part, it was almost used against her. Bayley tried tying her hair up on the ropes. That didn't last long. Then she tried tying it up on a chair. That didn't last long. And I gotta be honest with you, I believe all of those wrestlers are great, but as a fan, we do have our sides, and my support lied with Bianca Belair. And it was amazing to watch, and thankfully Bianca Belair was able to retain after using her finisher on the ladder, and now we can have Bayley. Somebody should make a meme, and this is just me having a little fun. I'm not saying I hate the wrestlers or anything like that. It's just me supporting one and booing the heels. But I think they should have a meme where Bayley is upset while having the Undertaker's laughing meme next to Bayley's picture. That would be entertaining and funny. But kudos to Bianca Belair for untying the knot twice and winning the match. And let's just say for humor that Bayley and kendo sticks do not mix. Bayley is now 0-2 inside Hell in a Cell. Who knows? Maybe she'll get the third one, like her best friend in real life, Sasha Banks, did. Ironically, against Bayley herself in an epic match last year. But this year, it was Bianca Belair. And congratulations again to her. Now we get to see who's next in line for a shot against Belair. And her ponytail. Stop messing with her hair and don't laugh at her. Because one thing Mr. McMahon used to say, he who last laughs better, or something like that. Also, we have, next we had Cesaro versus Seth Rollins and those wide eyes. But either way, that one was extremely epic. I noticed Seth Rollins took a page out of Karrion Kross's playbook with an elbow to the back of the head during that match. We also saw Cesaro about 14 times swing Cesaro around for 14 laps in a circle. Now, I think the one from WrestleMania was much more fun. And while many of us were rooting for Cesaro and hoping that he would do to Seth Rollins what Batista did to Triple H, and that's go 3 in a row, Backlash, WrestleMania, Backlash, and Vengeance. Such was not the case with Seth Rollins. And I guess it had to be that way because every now and again, as great as Seth Rollins is because he is great, they figured that they would have to put some kind of win in this rivalry for Seth Rollins against Cesaro, making it somewhat a little fair because the first two, it was all Cesaro. Cesaro at WrestleMania, Cesaro on an episode of SmackDown. So I guess WWE, and having a little bit of sympathy for Seth and knowing that he is good, decided let's have an epic match and let's let him take the win this time. Fair enough. Speaking of moving on, but still, like I said, every match on the card was epic. The other match, this match was not necessarily epic, but very darkly and eerily entertaining. And that was Shayna Baszler versus Alexa Bliss. And first and foremost, my thoughts to Alexa Bliss. Hope she's doing well because recently she lost her pet pig. So thoughts and prayers to her that she will get through this peacefully and kind of recover and be uplifted and a bit better on as time progresses. So, however, even though her pet pig has gone on to a much better place, she still has another best friend, her puppet, or her doll, should I say, I apologize, Lily. And of course, the last time we saw Lily, there was a couple of mind games that I think The Undertaker would have loved to watch as the originator himself, where Shayna was stalked by the doll and it ended off the show one night on Monday Night Raw. However, that match would be kind of eerily entertaining in my view. Note to self, don't look into the eyes of Alexa Bliss. And speaking of the eyes of Alexa Bliss, and this is just me speaking of her and The Undertaker, I actually would love to see Alexa do The Undertaker eyes. I mean, come on, I know what you're thinking. Some of you are probably thinking, this is gonna give me nightmares. But to me, I think I'll sleep fine. And I am not a fan of horror movies. I am not a fan of paranormal. The closest I will get to scary is Thriller by Michael Jackson, Ghost by Michael Jackson, and The Undertaker and all the other eerie wrestlers. However, I would love to see Alexa Bliss do The Undertaker eyes. I'd love to see it. But that's just me. But the match was still entertaining. It was very eerie and supernaturally spooky because when she looked into the eyes, Alexa looked into the eyes of Nia, she controlled Nia's every move and made Nia slap Reginald. Call it where I'm from, because I had what some will call a faith-based upbringing. Where I'm from, they call it witchcraft. But either way, tonight it was very creepy but entertaining at the same time, where Alexa made Nia slap Reginald, and then controlled her to the point where she screamed. She had Nia under her powers. It was entertaining, and it was a miracle that um, Alexa didn't break any of her bones, but she seemed to be having fun, and no matter what they did, they couldn't hurt Alexa. Just twisting her bones and stuff, and it was something. But it was still fun to watch, and I'm really excited about this. I can't wait till October so we can see what happens in her angle. And where is Bray Wyatt? Where is he? You can't have a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view without him or The Fiend. I'm just saying. Moving on, two things that had a disappointing ending. The first thing was Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Now, that match was epic, and I think Sami Zayn should stick to being an epic performer instead of the epic crybaby, in my personal opinion. According to the storyline script, Sami Zayn is a huge crybaby. And so, however, the match was epic, and we got to see a little bit of the Sami Zayn of old, diving over the top rope and flying onto Kevin Owens. And later on, we would notice Kevin Owens is having a bit of hand injuries, not to mention he still has a little bit of pain effects from the Nigerian nail, which is originally known as the Samoan spike, made famous by Umaga, God rest his soul, and modernized by Commander Aziz. However, moving on and forward, it was still a great match, but because I was rooting for Kevin Owens, I would say it was an epic match with a disappointing end because we wanted Sami Zayn to lose. But even though he's what you would consider an annoying, goofy heel, guys got to win at some point. So WWE decided to book it in the storyline where he would win tonight. Hey, but this isn't over until Kevin Owens says it's over. So who knows? Something could happen later on. The other thing with a disappointing end was Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. Disappointing in my opinion because it was a very epic match. And the last time we had such an epic match in this caliber was last year at WrestleMania in an empty arena. And now we got to see them again another time in that triple threat match last month involving Asuka, in which Rhea Ripley won, retaining her championship. But this whole thing started because Charlotte could not face Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania this year because she had, of course, caught COVID-19 and had to stay home, giving Asuka the chance to wrestle, giving Rhea Ripley the chance to take Charlotte's place, and that's what started this whole angle. So Charlotte wanted a shot at the championship that she was supposed to be a contender for to face Asuka when Asuka was the champion before she got sick. So with that chip on her shoulder, she had became more aggressive and things of that nature, and that led us to this match right here. And it was a great match. We for a moment it looked like Rhea was going to get the victory, but because she hit her Riptide finisher and Charlotte was right by the ropes, she was able to put her foot on the rope, stopping the referee's 3 count. So with that match being great and everything, and Charlotte working on Rhea's leg again, and you could hear Rhea screaming in agony. It wasn't until Rhea hit Charlotte with the piece of the table equipment, and it was called off by disqualification, and it continued in a brawl. Next time they face off, which will probably be Money in the Bank, it should be no DQ so we can settle who is the better woman. And this, in my opinion, is going to be a great rivalry, but disqualifications is no way to end it, in my view. Moving on, last but not least, let's talk about tonight's last chance for Drew McIntyre. Amazing match. When we first started the match, Drew came out very strong. He dominated the match just like Rey Mysterio did on Friday Night SmackDown, except Rey Mysterio gave us a happily surprise because we were concerned that Rey was going to get crushed, but thankfully Rey was competitive. And just like Rey, Drew McIntyre, not surprisingly, was very competitive until MVP handed Bobby Lashley the his walking cane and slipped it through one of the holes in the cage. And so that's when Bobby Lashley started taking a bit control, and it started to go back and forth, and it began to become a bit epic. And of course, we didn't get to see much of the full Nelson lock tonight, which most of you remember Chris Masters making it a little more famous. Who does it better, Chris Masters or Bobby Lashley? Let me know your opinion. However, you have the full Nelson that was attempted twice. Both times Drew was able to fight it off. The second time he backed Bobby Lashley into a table. The real issue came when the referee was accidentally struck with a chair, and another referee had to come in and count, only to have MVP interfere with the match. Now MVP got locked in with Drew and the match as well, so MVP gets pounded around a little bit, and then we're back to fighting. And of course, when Drew McIntyre delivers the Claymore kick, which is his finisher, MVP pulls him off and gives Bobby Lashley the opportunity to go for the roll-up pin, which means Bobby Lashley wins, retaining his championship, and lucky Lashley, because he gets to go and celebrate with the ladies. Lucky Lashley, lucky. I'm not condoning having a bunch of women around you. Probably shouldn't have even said that. God, don't strike me. Either way, you get to go around and hang around them and celebrate, even though the victory was crooked. So now I have two questions. What's next for Drew McIntyre? That's number one. Other question is that we will have answers soon. Who is a worthy challenger for the almighty Bobby Lashley? The match was won in crooked form. However, it is what it is. Who's going to stop the almighty era? Who do you think? I think Randy Orton might have a shot, but he's teaming up with Matt Riddle right now, so I don't know. I really don't know who, but I will tell you this much. If these reigns keep up, we are going to have ourselves an epic Survivor Series match, except it'll be between heel and heel. Think about that. An epic match between a heel and a heel. A heel Raw champion and a heel SmackDown champion. Who would win that one? Even though they're bad guys, that would still be epic. And we don't know who's going to win that one. Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley. What do you think? That would make a good dream match. They've fought before, but not with themselves being as high quality as they are right now. So who would win that fight? And will it make it that far is the big question. So what's next? We got to find out tonight on Monday Night Raw. And that's all the time I have for you right now. And I'll be back again for another edition of The Dan East Show. Peace.